Welcome to Desert Island Discs with your host, John Bruford. Hello and welcome to what you might call the first episode proper of this Gambling Files offshoot Desert Island Discs. It's not a typo, it's its actual name. Now, listeners in the UK might be confusing it with a popular BBC radio show, but it's absolutely nothing to do with that at all. Not even slightly. It's not even the same concept. It's got absolutely nothing to do with it. And our lawyers are going to be contacting their lawyers very soon. But our concept is we have a guest and they are stranded on a tropical island, not a desert island. It's full of lush vegetation, water, and food. They have the basics for what they need to stay alive. This is about luxury items that they might want to have with them. And our guests get to choose 3 albums, 3 books, 3 movies, 1 song, which doesn't have to be off the albums. I think I put that in for myself. 1 pet, if they want to. 1 object. 1 piece of advice to give to their younger selves, and they get to choose when they give it to themselves. And crucially, 1 dessert. Now, second episode, probably first episode proper, but second episode because we did Finton on the first one as proof of concept. The royal we. Because Finton, he's like gambling industry royalty, isn't he? Introducing our guest, Alex Pratt, MD of Clarion Gaming. Alex, welcome.
Hi, John. Looking forward. I'm not on the island yet, am I? I'm about to go on the island.
No, I think
whether I'm enjoying it or excited about it, I'm not sure.
I think you're on the island and you're waiting for all your shit to get washed up on the shore.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's nice. It's a nice day on the island.
It's always a nice day on the island.
Damn,
Always.
I will not need the umbrella then.
You might want it for shade.
Good point.
So we're going to kick off with... Well, actually, let's kick off with a bit of history. Who are you and where did you come from?
Well, you have to be careful asking me that question because sometimes I can go on. I guess, Alex Pratt, MD Clarion Gaming, so responsible for the events, the digital products within the Clarion own in the gaming industry. I guess I've theoretically through 2P and legal HR roles have worked for iGaming Business Limited, which is now owned by Clarion for just over 20 years. So started back in 2004 at G2E, and then prior to that, I was working for the Institutional and Mechanical Engineers, selling advertising in the Professional Engineer magazine. Really exciting industry. And then before that, studying sociology at Portsmouth Uni, which was even more exciting.
It does sound good.
And then, prior to that, I was a young lad, thought he knew the world, but probably didn't.
Where were you a young lad?
Little village called Hadnam, which is not, there's 2 Hadnam, not the one in Buckinghamshire, one in Cambridgeshire, so near a place called Ely, which is famous for Ely Cathedral, the Ship of the Fens. And
My bestie lives by Ely.
Oh, really? It is it's a funny old place. It's good to grow up in, very flat, but it was good fun. I could reminisce with no internet and lots of like adventures and things like this. But yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, the joy of being old and looking back when life was considerably simpler.
Playing headers and volleys unsuccessfully.
Yeah. Of course, round my way, we were so poor, we used to have to play that with bricks.
How were you?
I was fine, but my mate was absolutely fucked.
The header was always the problem.
I actually had this conversation with my kids the other week. I did actually once lob a half brick at a friend's head. I was trying to say to my kids, here's why you don't want to chuck stuff at each other's heads. Here's what happened. I told them this story. And
As part of a game.
Well, kind of. I mean, I was playing, he wasn't. And yeah, I totally brained him, unfortunately. I mean, he lived.
Yeah, that's positive.
So, it's not, I don't think there's any hard feelings. We're not in contact anymore. So maybe he's having a conversation with somebody right now saying, fucking, you never guess what happened to me when I was a kid. I knew this psychopath. Half a brick at the back of my head. I say the back of his head. I wasn't behind him. He bent over as I lobbed it.
I mean, did he have stitches?
I don't think so. It was definitely blood, but I don't think he had stitches.
Not too bad then.
Yeah, he's
it's all part of growing up.
He probably gets terrible headaches now, but what am I going to do? It's like 42 years ago. Anyway, sorry, I got sidetracked there. 3 albums, Alex.
Yeah.
First album, go.
First album, it would be now. Let's just bear in mind that I'm not the most sophisticated of people when it comes to music, but my first album would be
the Greatest Peter Andre, isn't it?
No, the Greatest Showman album, but not the not the official one. There's another one called Reimagined where other people like redid the works, and my brother, who's an editor, tells me the reason was the rights were so expensive for the songs to use on things like Britain's Got Talent and stuff like this that they got a load of like James Arthur and people like that to redo the songs, and they're way better. And Mary J. Blige and things like this, much better version and much cheaper from a rights perspective. So everybody wins.
Does that mean that the album was cheaper to buy?
No. Well, I haven't bought an album in years, Spotify. But no, I love the film. I love the music. I just think it is bloody brilliant, and every single song I love.
This is the Hugh Jackman movie.
Yeah, exactly.
It's an interesting movie, that one, because it was one of those that was supposed to do really badly. Studio had zero faith in it. Was released, really? And it grew and grew and grew because of word of mouth. And very occasionally that happens with a movie.
Yeah,
like Twins is the other great example of that. Twins was absolutely hammered when it was released. And
a brilliant film.
It escalated. Like the grosses very rarely grow second, third, fourth week. Very rare. Twins just grew and grew and grew. And it actually was so successful, it was in the top 10 movies in 2 consecutive years. Like, that doesn't happen very often either.
And the other reason I shouldn't forget is that my 4th child was born to one of the songs. The tightrope one, I can't remember what it is now. I should remember which one. But no, when you were having our child, the most recent one, we got loads of friends to say, like, we built a playlist and say, look, what song? And my brother's daughter decided to put the most horrendous song that I can't even tell you what it was, but
I like Big Butts,
really,
wasn't it?
really far more graphic. And anyway, when it came to actually having the baby, suddenly just some really random dance or hip hop was coming on. Naturally, we were like, actually, screw this. Let's just put Greatest Showman on. And so, yeah, our 4th child was born to Greatest Showman, which was a far better album to play during labour. So many reasons.
4 children, dude. That's a lot.
It is a lot. There is only a certain amount of cars now that can fit us all in. Yeah. A roof rack is like a normal part of the car. It's like, and 2 dogs. It's a squeeze.
Dude. No wonder you've got to be in a top executive job. It's how you can afford to breed.
Yeah.
Kids are expensive. Mind you, yours probably, do yours all go to, are they all on the waiting list for Eton?
No, they all go to normal school. Thankfully. I couldn't afford, oh my God, it would cost a fortune.
Yeah, really would. But they breathe different air there. I think they get air imported with higher levels of oxygen. Well, that is an intriguing first album choice, and I was not expecting that. I was fully expecting Peter Andre.
I wish I thought about Peter Andre now.
Second album,
yeah, and actually, this has been really good, this one, because now I've rediscovered it. Although I can't bloody buy it anywhere because I'd like to get it, because now I'm getting into my mid to late 40s. I'm getting back into vinyl, and it's bloody expensive. But I don't know if you remember where you went into it, but I was very much into house music and going clubbing in my younger days. You maybe remember the sort of club night Renaissance. So there's an album which is Sasha and John Digweed, the Mix Collection, which is a ground because it has 4 CDs or 4 records if you get it on vinyl, and it is brilliant. And I'd forgotten how good it is. It is. I've just started listening since you made me do this work. I've started to listen to it. It just reminds me of my like youth of loud music and going nuts till 6 in the morning.
And 4 CDs, great choice, because when I was talking to Finton on the
Yeah,
proof of concept episode, I was saying to him, you could pick a box set of something because you might want to brain a goat on the island with it, so it'd be, do you know what I mean? So
true.
4 CDs, what the
I can use one as like a mirror or a reflector of some kind,
it's a very, very practical choice.
and they're quite
And again,
colourful as well.
still no Peter Andre.
And yeah, I
So
don't think he features on that album, unfortunately.
I bet
But I
it's a
say it's
song though. I
brilliant.
bet it's
The first,
Mysterious Girl.
no, the first song on it's like Left Field, and I've totally forgotten how good Left Field are. Um, you just forget these things. He's just brilliant.
It is the gift of Desert Island Discs.
Yeah, real pleasure.
What's your third album?
Third one is the album from The Phantom of the Opera, the original with Sarah Brightman.
Michael
Um,
Crawford, the original
and
cast
Michael
recording.
Crawford. And
Wow.
I don't know if it's just old age, but a lot of this stuff is about childhood for me, apart from Greatest Showman. That's about a child. Yeah, my parents had it on vinyl. I just remember listening to it all the time when I was young, and it's a bit of a weird thing to be into. And I remember going to it for the first time in the cheapest seats, weirdly in Vegas. I can't remember what hotel they had it on, but they built a theatre specifically for Phantom of the Opera, and and I was obviously in the cheapest, crappiest seats and looking at it right from above. But it's just amazing. I think again the songs are just incredibly written, brilliant. Just gives me
Who was
memories.
the Phantom in the one that you saw?
Oh, God knows, I can't remember that. Um, I just remember it was in Vegas. I watched Mamma Mia and I watched that.
I remember my shock God, when Phantom must have kicked off about like 82, 83, something like that. And I just remember because as a kid, I just associated Michael Crawford with
Yeah,
Some Mothers Do Have 'Em.
yeah, I know that was brilliant.
And there he is with this extraordinary presence and this colossal voice, which is just like friggin' chocolate. And it was just it was a bit of a shock for me, I can tell you.
So apparently, there's someone called Anthony Crivello. You with your super brain probably know who he is, but
I
he
actually
played it in
don't.
Vegas in 2012.
But then there are a lot of people who specialise in musical theatre, and if you're the lead in Phantom, you must be pretty decent.
Yeah, he's
Was
Broadway. I just stopped googling him. Gonna
was
go
he
down a
was he
hole.
good? Was he good?
Yeah, it's brilliant. I'd spend my I sound like a total weirdo geek as a young kid, but at least I had the Renaissance album, Phantom of the Opera playing simultaneously. But yeah, I was just so happy to have seen it. Um, yeah, it's brilliant, and I want to see it again now. I can afford a seat that I might be able to see the performance rather than just listen.
It's a good shout. But I mean, the live theatre performance it is pretty special.
Yeah.
I went to see a musical. I think it was last summer. No, hang on. Which car was I in? Yeah, last summer. I went to see Heathers the musical. I know I've been to a couple of
Was it
musicals,
good?
but it's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And in Vegas, I went to see Evil Dead the musical, which is
But you
unbelievably
love
good.
like horrors and stuff, don't you?
Yeah, but I was always going to be picky about how it's staged because it's a really difficult thing to do. Almost all the action takes place in a cabin, but it's very kinetic. How are you going to do that? And it was the way it was staged was very, very clever. Like, yeah, and as a live experience, It's phenomenal. I mean, I came out soaked to the skin because they sprayed the audience with blood. It was good. Enjoyed it. But yeah, the live theatre experience, it's like, it's one thing to watch it on screen. And I saw Heather's the Musical on a cinema screening first.
Yeah.
And we came out, and my stepdaughter Lorna said, I'd really love to see that live. And then it toured like 2 months later. So I'm like, fuck yeah. So
And obviously the live version much better, yeah.
Fucking amazing.
By the way, it turns out I shouldn't have kept Googling these, but that Anthony Crivello was in Crocodile Dundee too. At some point I've got to work out who he was in it, but so he's massively famous. He's massively famous.
With a name like Crivello, he's probably going to be a mobster or mugger. Well, Crocodile Dundee 2 was like, what, 1988, something like that. Typecasting was very, very real in the 80s. Very real. But anyway, so hang on. So we've got your three albums. Done. Holy shit, man. We just flew through those. And I still can't believe your choices. Like, what the fuck? See, this is why we do this, because people are full of surprises. And I bet you next time you do Ice, some fool is going to serenade you with Music of the Night.
Oh, that would be nice.
Probably going to be me or Finton.
I think, am I imagining it? But do you remember, I think Microgaming did a few years ago, pre-COVID at Ice, they flipped their stand on a daily basis to whatever the theme of the slot. Did they create a Phantom? I might be imagining it, but I'm sure one day they had a whole theme around Phantom and they had a piano and everything, but I could have totally made that up. If no one's done a Phantom of the Opera slot, maybe it's time.
Yeah, the time is now. And are you saying that if they did that for Ice, that they would get a discount on their booth, or?
Well, if I had any authority,
dude, you're the MD.
We'd comp them a VIP pass for their Phantom.
Whoa! See,
that is generous.
If you do a Phantom slot or a Phantom theme on your booth, you're saving money already just with that VIP pass. I mean, everybody wins there, especially Alex. Right, let's move on to 3 books. Can be fiction, can be non-fiction. Guys, you could have graphic novels. Could be audio books, I suppose.
My son has got really into anime and graphic novels, and I was shocked, and it probably should be obvious, but I was shocked that you read them, they open from the back the opposite way. It's so odd. I just can't believe how big that whole market is. But anyway, it's not on my list, so it's slightly irrelevant. But
no, but yeah, it's unreal. It's massive, and I mean, even bookshops around me, and I am in the arse end of Beyond, but even the Waterstones here has a big anime manga section.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Right, books. First one was the first big book I read, and it got me obsessed for as a youth into race rights of all things. I just got obsessed with it. It was Roots. I don't know if you've read Roots by Alex Haley. Yeah. Oh, Kunta Kinte. And it was always on my mum and dad's bookshelves. It was like a really thick one. The Kunta Kinte bit was a bit hard to get through. I remember I'd love to know. I can't remember what age I read it, but it was young. But then once you got to things like Chicken George, and I just got obsessed with it. I just fascinated. It was just an amazing. First of all, educating me on that whole story, and then I got obsessed with Alex Haley. And there's a book called Malcolm and Me, where he hangs out with Malcolm X and his kind of whole experience, and I guess almost biography, alternative biography for Malcolm X. And it was just, I've just bloody loved it, and I haven't read it since. And I think about it all the time. And I'm like, well, it's a massive book. It's a whole bunch of different stories. That would probably be fairly entertaining, apart from the bits that are horrendously awful. But it all ends up quite happy, if I remember. I think it did.
Worth a reread.
Have you read it?
I don't believe I have. Interestingly, when you started talking, it got me obsessed with race relations. I thought, is he going to go with To Kill a Mockingbird?
No, I haven't even read that one. Maybe I should bring it as... I mean, that's the alternative. You could just bring a bunch of new books that might be good.
Oh, what a gamble, though. What a
I
gamble.
know.
Especially if it's books that other people had told you were good.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do.
There's an awful lot of books out there that are for people that don't read books.
Yeah, this is very true.
Makes me sound really snobby, but fuck, it's true. But yeah, so big book to start with. For
Big one.
again, good for braining goats.
Yeah, I've got two big chunkers and then one very small. I'll go
Okay.
to the small one next. And the small one, again, when I told my girlfriend this is my list, she was like, "You sound like such an intellectual. Like you're gonna look like an idiot." And I was like, "Yeah, but they're genuine reasons. Like I'm not making it up to look clever. I've just done Phantom of the Opera and things." But the other one is this book called The Prophet. I don't know how you
Khalil
say it.
Gibran.
Thank you. And the only reason is because when I was about, I can't even remember, in my early teens, maybe, my dad came into my room with The Prophet, and he's a book dealer, my dad's antique books. Um, and this wasn't an antique version, it's just a modern version. And he put it on bed and he goes, "Son, if you've ever got any problems in life, this book will answer them." He was like, "Look, marriage, turn to it. It'll tell you, it'll solve everything." I've got to say, it's been an interesting read and I like to look at it. It hasn't necessarily solved all my problems in life, but I just feel like if if my dad was right, I'll be on this island and I'll be like, well, actually, I've got an issue or a problem. I can turn to the prophet and solve it and feel happy for the rest of the day.
Sweet. Hold that thought, because the dog needs to
I
be
can
let
hear
out.
the dog whining.
Fucking twat of a dog. Hold on, twatty dog. No barking. I'm totally not going to edit that out, because then I'll find out if you've been talking about me while I was gone.
I talked to the other two dogs. It was mainly about your dog.
Yeah, my dog's a twat. No, the interesting thing about The Prophet is it reads very poetically.
Yeah.
And I do think it's a very clever book. It's very cleverly written, because you probably can find the solutions to issues in there, because it's so it's quite ambiguously written. It's not giving you advice, it's encouraging introspection.
Yeah, that's very true.
But it is a beautifully done book. I mean, I don't know how old I was when I read it, about 18, 19, something like that. And I haven't read it again, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't.
Well, if you do, are you allowed? What would be interesting is if you're allowed to like come and visit people's islands now and again.
Swap
Might be like,
books.
swap books. Can I have a swap book swap? Once every 5 years, everyone's allowed to go to John's Island to swap books and songs.
Desert Island Discs Book Club.
And you can have like a dessert party with everyone's desserts.
Oh man, don't. My dessert. Fuck. I'm never going to get to tell my dessert, but because I'm never going to be a guest.
Surely you can just record it twice and interview yourself.
God, I can't think of anything more dull. So we've got two of your books. What's your third?
And then,
your
the other one is this one does make it sound like an idiot, but a while ago, I subscribe to Audible, so I like to get ROI on Audible. So I can't be reading books that are like 6 hours use a whole credit on a 6 or 8 hour book. And then I looked up top 60 books of all time and started working my way through them. And I got to Atlas Shrugged. And I think it was like 66 hours. And I was like, oh my God, this is the best ROI book I'm ever going to get. And it turned out it's really good. I've only read it the once. I think about it a lot especially around today's society. And look, it was all about how government and regulations and how much control should be. And at the time, I think it was about steelworks. And actually, I think about it all the time with things like Zuckerberg and how big these companies can be, and social media or social platforms or whatever it may be. It's just, you can see the balance between innovation and entrepreneurialism and government trying to manage society and monopolies, and it's fascinating. And I think I could sit and go through it quite a lot and talk to myself with theories, plus another big thick one.
It's quite a divisive book. I mean, it's quite a divisive and controversial book, and very famous. But
And
I
long.
think, yeah, totally, and good value. But
Yeah.
I do think one of the things that sort of bothers me with media, with media selection by algorithm,
Mm.
and all of that shit, is that we are so insulated from controversial views or opposing views. And that polarization is going to increase and increase and increase. And it's not personalization.
No.
It's
It's
dressed
just
as personalization, but it's not. Do you know what? I know a dude who he told me this great story. He just left the army. He's a big guy. He just left the army, and he was shopping in his local bookstore in Shrewsbury. It was Waterstones, and he was in there a lot buying books all the damn time. And he ordered some books to collect, and he went in to collect them, and all the staff who he knew on a first name basis basically ignored him from then on because he'd ordered Mein Kampf,
wow.
Hitler's ideology. And the thing is, he's not racist, he's not fascist,
No,
he's not anti-Semitic at all.
just
He's
interested in
relentlessly
it.
curious.
Yeah.
And actually, you should be reading shit like that. If you want to understand it, if you want to understand where things start, you need to read things like that. You need to expose yourself to that kind of bullshit in
Yeah.
order to be able to speak confidently about it. I listened to a podcast today, a guy locally who was basically, he does this thing where he goes and sits on a bench and he puts a sign up saying, I'm recording a podcast, come and have a chat.
Yeah.
And it's really good. It's very, very local. And a couple of people from a church came and sat down and talked to him and had quite fundamentalist views. Well, it turns out his youth was spent in a very fundamentalist church, and he spent years getting therapy to counter the feelings of worthlessness that had been drilled into him, in order to make himself worthy for saving, etc., etc. And these guys came at him with the exact same attitude, and it's really, really fascinating. And he stays totally cool in it. But it's
Yeah.
like you need to hear that shit to understand it in order to be able to formulate a properly rounded opinion, but also to have empathy and understanding for others. I'm not religious, but I don't have any problem with other people being religious, and I like to
Yeah.
understand it. I like to understand why. I like to understand what they get from it, and I like to talk to them about it. I'm not just going to say, oh, you must be a fucking idiot because you believe in God, because I know loads of intelligent people
Yeah.
believe in God. One of my very few heroes left his job and trained to become a vicar, and that's how he spent the rest of his life. Absolute hero of mine.
We actually
I wouldn't
had
have done it.
one of our sales guys years ago on IGB. It was probably the best resignation we ever had because he resigned to go and become I think a monk and then a priest. I was like, how do I compete with this? I can't offer you more money. And so I think he went off to some place where you were silent for a year and learn theology and then go into, I guess, the graduate training program for priestliness.
Sounds like he should have been on a fast track. Yeah, that was a calling there. Or he just didn't want to do the exit interview.
Yeah.
Sorry,
But no,
I've
I
already
love that
taken my
stuff.
vow of silence. Wow. So again, you're full of surprises. But now we get down to the nitty gritty, Alex. Hang on, the dog's making fun.
I love that dog.
What the fuck are you doing? Oh, man, I think it's somebody outside the house and they're just innocently having a conversation. So he's at the
Yeah.
window giving
He's
a
protecting you, John. He's protecting you.
He wouldn't. He'd stand behind me. He's massive. He'd just hide behind me.
What sort of dog is he?
He's a Hunterway.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a New Zealand sheepdog, and
Oh, wow.
they're the only sheepdog that moves the flock by standing behind it and barking.
So they're like the lazy sheepdog.
Well, no, they have the sort of collie equivalent at the front directing,
Yeah.
just a couple,
Oh, so they're like the
and the
commander.
Hunterways just shout, basically.
Wow.
But very intelligent dogs. Well, I mean, most of them are. Mine isn't. Mine's a knob. But anyway, we're coming down to 3 movies.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess one of them, maybe.
Go on. It'd be
Greatest
amazing
Showman.
if you can. No, no.
Whoa.
It couldn't be like that. Couldn't be one of my best. No, I mean it doesn't even shed a light on Dumb and Dumber, which would be my number one film of all time. Just one of the greatest comedies ever made.
Wow.
I don't know if you're back in the days when you'd buy DVDs and you get extras, the extra kind of bonus bits. Dumb and Dumber had a setting. I've never seen it in any other movie, and I do not know why. And it's called Watch in Bed or Go to Sleep setting, and it turns the film on its side, so you can like watch it with your head on a pillow, and it keeps the angle correct for you. And I'm like, why has no one ever put this extra on anything else?
That's actually genius.
But yeah, I mean, it's just that movie is brilliant from start to finish. And I
Wow.
wasn't a big Jim Carrey fan at the time, but turns out I liked him. I mean,
Well,
the little pretty bird, everything. I mean, probably it's inappropriate in many places these days. And now I start to think about it.
almost certainly.
But they are of its time.
And Jeff Daniels doing that movie, I think, surprised everybody.
I mean,
He
they were
was
just so
always
good
such a
together.
respectable actor, and did do comedy and stuff, but nothing like that.
Oh, no, it's brilliant.
Okay, so that's your first movie choice.
Yeah, I mean, that is my number one film of all time. So if I was only taking one, it would have to be that. And there's not many comedies you can watch over and over again and enjoy. That is one of them.
Okay. Next movie.
I then move into more of a sad but funny. And this film, do you remember? It's called Life is Beautiful, Italian film. When the guy
Yeah,
won,
Roberto Benigni.
he jumped on the chairs and went mental. Um, what's really annoying is my partner has never seen it, even though we made a deal one night that if I watched her favourite film, Dirty Dancing, she would watch mine. And still, whatever amount of years on, she still hasn't watched this, which really annoys me. So I'm taking it to my desert island, not desert island,
Yeah,
tropical island.
patent
Thank,
pending.
yeah. Uh, to what carry on watching. But look, for those that don't know, it's obviously it's a story of a father and son in a concentration camp, but it's horrific and awful, but it's also funny and amazing. And he almost changes the narrative for his son, making it an incredible experience for him when it could be one of the most horrific things in the world. Okay, into it, but it's just amazing. I just think it's such an amazing film. Like you cry beyond crying and you laugh a lot. Very different from Dumb and Dumber.
But on the plus side, you got to see Dirty Dancing,
Yeah, yeah.
which, for
Um,
anybody who's forgotten, actually has a really top quality cast, including, if I
yeah,
remember
amazing
rightly,
cast.
the mum from Gilmore Girls.
I've not seen Gilmore Girls, and my daughter
It's
talks about it a
it's
lot.
it's awful and painful to watch, except for the mum character, who's the woman that was in Dirty Dancing. She's genuinely brilliant. I actually watched all of Gilmore Girls just to see her character,
Oh well.
and it was a test of endurance, really. And I did it. I'm not proud of it. I did a similar thing with John Grisham books as well. I pledged to read John Grisham books until I found one that wasn't shit. And it took me 11 books.
Wow. What was the one that wasn't shit?
It was. Can you hear that vehicle that's reversing?
I can. Yeah.
Fucking bastards. It's all going on in this close
Yeah, but
today.
this is brilliant. Wow. We're on the desert. Sorry, the tropical island.
Dessert.
And
Dessert.
that is the delivery van bringing in my goods.
That's exactly right. They're going to need to take a photo of it on your hut step.
It's also not a dog; it's a wild animal in the background.
It's a boar.
Yes,
Um, shit. What was I talking about?
I can't even remember.
Fuck.
Oh, Dirty Dancing, Gilmore Girls, John Grisham.
Oh god, yeah. It was the sequel to A Time to Kill. I think the character's Jake Brigance. And it was
I've
just
not read
the
any
sequel
of
to
them.
that. And A Time to Kill is actually not a terrible book. I read that years and years ago. But the rest of them, oh God. It was just, I keep reading people saying, God, this guy's amazing. He's just the best writer ever. And I just read his stuff and I just think, this is so flat and dull and uninteresting. And then they did this, then they did that, then they did this, then that happened. So, fuck.
The end.
Yeah. Basically, it's like I want to go somewhere. I want to read something with some heart. I want you to fucking destroy me when you write a book. But anyway, what do I know? Okay, so we've got Dumb and Dumber. We've got Life is Beautiful.
Yeah.
Number 3.
Number 3, I would bring Strictly Ballroom.
Wow.
Which I know you're a big fan of Karate Kid, and you know the shivers you get at the end of Karate Kid, and you're like that feeling of just
It's
the
exhilaration.
adrenaline's building in you. And I remember babysitting as a child watching Strictly Ballroom, and I was like, oh my God, this film is like Karate Kid, but better. And then that was the thought process in my head. And it's just, I mean, look, I love a story of someone who's not supposed to be beautiful becoming beautiful. I like them challenging authority and dancing their own steps at the Pan Pacific something or other dance. Brilliant. It's just such a good film. And I love, is it Time After Time? When they have that and it's romantic. And it's got some Karate Kid adrenaline when they dance the Paso Doble their way.
No, totally. I mean, I think that was Baz Luhrmann's debut as a director.
I didn't even know that's Baz Luhrmann.
And it's actually cool. Good.
That's actually a cool film then, isn't it?
I honestly think, I mean, I know he's done much higher profile films.
Yeah.
But for my money, he's not come close to Strictly Ballroom.
It was bloody brilliant.
But it's so beautifully done, and it's done as it's done like a mock documentary as well, because you got cutaways to people saying, "Oh, this happened," blah blah, and it's just so beautifully acted, so beautifully acted. And yeah, it's just, it kind of feels. Sometimes you get working classes represented really badly in movies because there aren't many working class people in the creative industries.
Mm.
But actually, it's a really good depiction of working class people, I think, as well. Yeah, it's a terrific film. And again, you're full of surprises.
I did not know it was Baz Luhrmann. Now I feel like cool.
Well, I don't feel too cool.
I've always been slightly embarrassed about loving that film. Now I'm really proud.
I'm going to have to look it up, just in case. Yeah. Baz Luhrmann in his debut co-wrote it as well.
Wow!
Now, if anybody's listening to this, I mean, obviously that's a reach. But if anybody's listening and you haven't seen it, you should definitely see it. It's a fabulous film.
Good movie.
I was working in a video shop when that came out, and people just adored it, like Dirty Dancing levels of adoration. And I think it's dropped off the radar to an extent, and certainly, he's eclipsed it with probably realistically Romeo and Juliet, but I don't think he's topped it. I think it's.
When I said to my kids the other day, "Oh my God, you've got to watch this," and the problem with trailers from the old days, they're just not. They don't deliver the value that my kids are used to on a trailer, so they're just like, "This is crap. I'm not watching it." I'm like, honestly, you've seen Karate Kid. This is better. And they just refuse to watch it. They're like, "Why would I watch this?" Is that guy's voice that's always on every trailer. It's like, two people wanted to dance their own steps.
I've got plans to get my kids into some quality stuff. I'm gonna put them in front of The Outsiders soon.
What's The Outsiders?
Youngest is only 7. Oh, dude, don't make me come over there.
I must have seen it. Doesn't ring a bell though.
Based on the classic novel.
We just Google each time during this.
Man,
I don't think I've seen it. Patrick Swayze,
Emilio Estevez, Rob Lowe, Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
I mean, Diane Lane.
I'm going to watch that this weekend.
It's fantastic. There are 2 versions of it though, and they're both excellent. but I prefer the original theatrical edit. How far is this fucking vehicle reversing? It's like it's a dead end.
Yeah, that's
Like,
not.
how far can
It's
you
doing a really
reverse?
awkward 3-point turn.
Fuck. Or there's a kid in the cab and he's just playing with the gearbox. Just keeps putting it in reverse. Okay, so you've surprised me again there. One song which doesn't have to be off the albums. Now, the reason that I've put this in here, right, is because let's look at this in the most black and white way that we can, right? Nobody is going to choose an album by Survivor, but it's perfectly feasible that somebody might choose Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah, okay. Well, my song probably wasn't tactically thinking in that way. Um, I don't even know who wrote this song, but I'm going to need an Alexa to play it because if I say, Alexa, play the Tidy Up song, there is a really good song that I've had since having, and now I've got 4 babies. But it's just will remind me of my kids. Like anytime just before they go to bed or we've just had dinner, I'm like, Alexa, play volume 8, play the Tidy Up song. And it is a really weird song you'll have to go away and listen to that gets faster and faster, and it's all about tidying up. And I'm like, well, it's going to be getting dark soon. The God knows what lives in this forest or island that's going to come and hunt me. I'm going to play the tidy up song, which will remind me of hectic times with my kids and family, but also I can tidy up my island
Yeah, you
really
can have a
fast.
tidy island, which is probably quite important because you don't want you in
Because I've
years.
got the good songs all on the other albums, so they're fine. This is just
No,
more of
very
a
fair.
sneaking in a memory.
But in years to come, when you're rescued, they're going to turn up and go, "Oh, have you just been stranded a couple of days?" You go, "No, I've been here for 4 years." But it's so tidy.
It's so tidy. How have your rocks color coded?
Yeah. Why is there no excrement? How does that even work? Wow. Okay. Well, that's another interesting choice.
It's really good though. Even your 7-year-old, try it. It weirdly does something to their brain, and they suddenly get involved because it's just it's weird. It makes everyone join in and tidy
I
up
can't.
rather than moan.
Can't even get my 7-year-old to get dressed.
Well, maybe there's a
So
get dressed song.
if he gets dressed and he puts socks on, he shows me very proudly that he's put socks on. So look, see, I can do this. I'm like, yeah, but you don't ever. Like I have to specifically say, get dressed and put socks on.
Yeah,
Like they're two different acts. He's bizarre, but terrific. He's just like me. I feel for his teachers. Are you taking a pet?
yes, but I just need to check if my pet is dead. Will he come back alive, or will it be a dead pet? Because otherwise, I'll choose a different one.
No. This is the thing. This is a historical one, really. This is
Oh, good.
and again, this I put this question in there for me.
Which one? Which do you take, your cat or your dog? Though this is the problem I have. That's why I went for a dead pet because they don't offend the live ones.
Wouldn't take either of them. I'd take the dead one. I'd take Millie.
Oh, good. I'll take Wellington. He's a dog.
Okay.
Dead Welly.
When is Wellington from?
Well, he was born a month before me. I won't give the day and year, although I'm sure it's probably available. But everyone seems to be hacking me on a permanent basis at the moment. So, although I have given my birthplace and several other things on this podcast, so it's a hacker's dream.
Just tell us the password; it'll be fine.
Yeah, but yeah, Welly was a Springer Spaniel my dad bought for my mum as like a present for that I was going to be born a few weeks later. I think it was more a dog he wanted than hers, but yeah, so he was weird. Me and him hung out, God, till I was about 13 years old when he had to then get put down. But he was a lovely, beautiful dog. That I sort of there's pictures of me as a baby, like curled up with him as a puppy in his little whatever it's called, dog bed.
Awesome.
What
So
about
what
Millie?
kind of dog was Wellington?
A Springer Spaniel.
Okay, so lively as well, so perfect.
Yeah, so he'll need some walking.
Millie was a rescue mongrel.
Oh, brilliant!
But yeah, left quite an impression, and is in fact a character in Liz Hyder's best-selling novel, The Gifts, because Liz met Millie and was a big fan of her, so she put her.
Oh,
in the
really?
book.
Wow, that is amazing.
You say that it's pretty easy to get into Liz's books, it turns out, because Finton's in the one after that. She was asking me about the podcast, and I was like, "Yeah, co-host Finton. Finton, what's his surname? Costello. Finton Costello. What a brilliant name. Names a character after him."
I mean, that is amazing.
Yeah, no, it gets worse, right? So I bought him the book when it came out, shipped it to Holland. Every week after that, I'm saying, "So have you read the book yet? Have you read your book yet? Have you read your book yet?"
Did he know that the character was in there or not?
No, he didn't. He's like, "Why are you so obsessed with me reading this book? I'll get to it at some point. I've got loads on at the moment." And like over Christmas, I get this text. It just says, "Did I just meet myself in this book?" Like, yes, you did. That's why I've been nagging you for 6 months, for fuck's sake. Anyway, immortality.
Yeah. Now he has a legacy.
He's one ahead of me because I haven't read that book yet. It's on my to read pile next to my bed. Okay, so Wellington, that's good. One object.
Yeah, I was going to take. I've changed my mind while I've been sitting here. So I was going to take a picture of my family because that'd be nice. But you know what? I've got songs and all that sort of stuff. So and I'll just have to remember what they look like. Hope for the best. Draw them in my neat sand. I'm actually going to bring a fishing rod. I've loved fishing since I was a kid. Don't get to do it so much often now. I've got 1,000 kids, and I've always wanted to catch a marlin. And if I'm on a tropical island, there might be one like somewhere out there. Plus, it's quite practical, but it would just help me enjoy my days.
I think this island has quite a steep shelf, so because marlin are quite deep water fish, aren't they?
Yeah,
they're big fish.
Well, I mean, I don't even have. I could just spend the years thinking I might catch one, even though it's impossible. But it'd be something to do as I sit there daily.
When you see your competitive marlin fishers, they've got the big rod, and it just, but it's secured and all of that jazz. So they're not taking a lot of weight when they're actually, they're not fighting with it one-on-one. So I mean, it could lead to your death as you're dragged into the sea.
But what a way to die, or followed by welly.
Yeah, but nobody would know of your heroic death. That's the sad thing.
True. Yeah, I don't have an answer for that, unfortunately. But yeah, I think I prefer the fishing rod to the picture of the family. Sorry, family.
But no, the fishing rod's a great choice.
Oh, I'm going to need some line and all that stuff.
But I mean, that's kind of the fishing thing. It's like it's sort of like it's like golf almost, isn't it? Like you could fish for the rest of your life and you'll keep learning and you'll keep changing and you'll keep evolving. So actually it's a really solid choice. That's very, very good. And as this is called Desert Island Discs, you have a choice of one dessert. What would your dessert choice be?
That is actually probably one of the harder ones, isn't it? I think I'd have treacle sponge from when I was young that my mum used to make in a microwave, I think. She'd chuck a load of stuff in a glass bowl and with golden syrup at the bottom, and it would come out in like 12 minutes. But I'd please want to have it with ice cream, otherwise it's a little bit. And that's unlimited. But I won't. I'll agree that I'll never be able to eat the ice cream separately from the treacle sponge because that would make it two puddings.
No, that's fair. You can totally have ice cream.
John, you've got to get stricter on this island.
No, but that's totally fine because like you'd have custard or cream or something, wouldn't you? So it's like ice cream it's effectively a dessert condiment, frankly.
Wow, that is such a good way to describe.
Forevermore,
I'll be like, I'm just a condiment. But why have you got a tub of it? Because it's a condiment.
It's dessert ketchup, darling.
Yeah.
Okay, one piece of advice for your younger self, and when do you give it to yourself?
Yeah, I think I would back to my sort of 17th year, 17, 18. I went into quite a weird, messed up place with a bit of depression and I mean, it doesn't matter now because it's what 30, 20 years or whatever it is, 30 years, almost 30 years on, bloody hell. Almost, not exact dates given. But yeah, at the time I had something called temporary drug psychosis. I don't want people to get the wrong idea, but my brain did not work very well with cannabis of all things, and I went a
It's
little
very,
bit
very common.
doolally. Yeah,
It's
went a
very
little bit
common.
doolally, lost it a bit, ended up in all sorts of places. But the advice I do, because at the time you don't know everything's going to be okay, is just everything will be okay. And actually, if my older self came back and said, "Look, Alex, don't worry, you might feel like your world is ending right now," but actually, and it is, it's the one mantra I've taken for the rest of my life, when have found that everything does seem to always be okay in the end, um, even in your worst, darkest moments. And that would have been nice to have met. I probably would have said, "Fuck off! You've got no idea. You don't understand. And you're weirdly old. Where's my hair
Nurse,
gone?"
nurse, I'm hallucinating.
Yeah.
Um,
In fact, it wouldn't have been a good time for me to see myself with the paranoia I was suffering from.
but no, but what you're describing, it is very common, and cannabis has a profound effect on teenage
Yeah,
brains.
so it was interesting because I
Um,
went to doctors. They went to something called the Cambridge Bridge Project, which I don't even, maybe it still exists, but it was like counselling for, I think, drug related and other stuff. And this lady said to me, "You wouldn't believe the amount of young people I have coming in about this." And she was like, "But no one wants to talk about it. Everyone thinks it's this classy, soft thing, and actually the impact, particularly the things like skunk and stuff that was chemically enhanced um,
yep.
and untested." And I think my brain is just likes to exaggerate most things, and it didn't quite agree, which was good in some ways because it allowed me not to get addicted to other substances in the future and probably die, apart from nicotine.
Well, I think that issue, that mental health issue, and cannabis or weed as a trigger,
Yeah,
has is much worse now.
yeah,
Because I said when I was a kid, the part I used to smoke, you could smoke it all day. It was absolutely fine. Now everything's super strong.
yeah. I mean, it's
Um,
crazy.
and I always liken it to alcohol. Like when I started drinking, like you could buy a pint of bitter that was 3% alcohol.
Yeah, it's true.
Almost everything's 5% now, and you try and drink 5% all day, you're fucked. You
Yeah,
can drink 3% all day and never have a fight with anybody. So it's a little bit like that. But interesting statistic in the UK, it used to be that I think it was 98% of cannabis and weed was imported back in the 80s and the early
yeah.
90s, and now 2% is imported and
Really?
98% is produced in the UK,
Wow.
and it's all super strong.
Yeah. All under these
And
funny
so
UV lights.
the impact that has on those developing brains is really profound. And of course, the NHS, any health service, is based on statistical probability.
Yeah.
We've got X amount of population reaching this age. The likelihood is that X amount of those people are going to have this problem, blah, blah, blah. So that's how we all allocate funding.
Yeah.
And they've been totally unprepared for this avalanche of teenagers with huge, and in some cases, some people are really unlucky with it, with life-altering issues.
Yeah.
But the way that people talk about this, oh, yeah, but it's perfectly natural, you know. No, it's not. It's been grown in a fucking bedroom in Walsall.
Yeah.
It's as far from natural as
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can
It's
get.
true.
You know, and yeah, it's a thing. So respect to you for coming out the other side of that, because that must have been shit. Must
No, it
have been
wasn't at the
really
time,
shit.
but it was good. Took a few years. Took a few years, but these things impact you forever, I think. But I think probably in a good way in the end. But at the time, God, you don't realise that.
Yeah, but it's it's a great experience to have as a parent.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'll say to my kids: look, do whatever you want. Here's what life looks like, but just so you know, this is what happened to my brain. And you might have some of my brain, so be careful.
Yeah.
And they definitely have like this addictive, hyper focused personality.
Well, when Lorna was a teenager, she was asking me about drugs all the time. You know, what does this one do? Well, it does this. What does it look like? Well, it looks like this. Why did you take
Yeah.
it? Well, seemed like a good idea. Did you take it a second time? Yes. Why? I'm not sure I can answer that. And of course, there are a few where I didn't take them a second time. But, I wasn't trying to scare her off. I was trying to just give her information to make a good choice and to trust her to be the person to make that choice. And I think, she's made it to 28.
Oh, well, that's good.
So my work here is done. Now I've just got
It's
3 younger
done,
ones,
John.
and I'm like,
it's never done.
No, I know. Man, see, I'm chewing my nails just thinking about it. Brilliant. That's it. Welcome to your desert island.
Imagine if I regret any decisions. Hopefully, I won't. I think I'm comfortable with it.
No, I think you made some solid choices there. You got some meaty reading.
I can't wait to hear other people's.
Well, maybe we'll get nobody else on.
That's it.
Which does remind me, if anybody has a nomination for a guest on this, we'd be very, very happy to hear from you. Or if somebody wants to come on themselves, because this is all about the people in the gambling industry. So give us a shout. And you'll be able to see episodes at www.thegamblingfiles.com and on all good podcast outlets. Alex, thank you so much for joining us and being, well, Finton was the guinea pig. You're probably the hamster.
Excellent. Well, thank you for having me. I look forward to seeing you at the every 5-year dessert party where we can swap records.
Mine's ginger cheesecake.
Wow. Let's have one it.
Oh, it's so good.
Not sure I want the ginger. I'll probably, by the time I've got there, actually, it'll probably be a refreshing change.
Who knows? Thank you, Alex.
Cheers.